Most gardeners throw away the very thing that could double their harvest, and have been doing it their whole lives. By the end of this video, you will know the soil building and pest fighting methods that chemical companies quietly hope you never hear about. And I am saving the most controversial one for the final stretch. It involves something every single person reading this already produces, for free, every day. Now, a few of these tips come straight out of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where Amish families have been growing food without chemicals or electricity for over 300 years. Their topsoil is twice as thick as the industrial farms next door. Their seeds date back 150 years. They have not bought a bag of nitrogen fertilizer in generations. That is not an accident. That is a system. And most of it costs almost nothing. Let us start with one of the simplest tricks on this list, and honestly, one of the most satisfying. The next time you see powdery mildew creeping across your squash leaves, do not reach for a bottle. Reach for the refrigerator. Mix 1 part milk with 9 parts water. Spray it on both sides of the leaves early in the morning twice a week. That is it. The proteins in milk, lactoferrin and casein, create a mild antiseptic reaction when sunlight hits them. That reaction kills the fungal spores on contact. Researchers at the University of Adelaide in Australia studied this method for 4 years and found it up to 90% effective at preventing powdery mildew on zucchini. Both whole milk and skim milk work. A gallon of water with 10 cents worth of milk can cover an entire garden bed. A bottle of commercial copper-based fungicide runs $12 to $22. The fungicide industry is worth $19 billion. Their most profitable product is beaten by a cup of milk. They know this. They are simply counting on you not knowing it. But here is something that goes even deeper, and has been going on since before America was a nation. When an Amish farmer finishes a harvest, the first thing they do is walk back to that same plant and pick the best fruit, the healthiest one on the healthiest vine. They wash the seeds, dry them on a paper towel for 1 to 2 weeks, and store them in a labeled glass jar. Family name, harvest year. That is all. No barcode, no patent number. Amish paste tomatoes have been handed down that way for over 150 years. Moon and Stars watermelons nearly vanished in the 1980s until an Amish farmer quietly held on to his seeds and kept planting. Heirloom seeds are open pollinated, which means what you harvest this year will grow into the exact same plant next year. Hybrid seeds sold by big companies are a different story. The next generation loses the parent traits, so you have to buy new seeds every season. $3 to $5 a pack, 20 to 30 packs, that is $60 a year, season after season. In 2013, the Supreme Court ruled in a case involving Monsanto that farmers cannot legally replant patented seeds from their own harvest. 4 corporations now control more than 50% of the global seed market. The Amish never signed that contract. And when you slice open an Amish paste tomato, the flesh inside is so thick and red it looks almost painted. That flavor came from 150 years of one family picking the best fruit in the garden every single autumn. Stay with me, because the next one goes underground. Literally thousands of years underground. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, archaeologists discovered stretches of soil so impossibly fertile, so darkly rich, that they named it Terra Preta, Black Earth. Native tribes had created it by mixing charcoal, bone, and manure into the ground. That soil is still producing harvests today, more than 1,000 years later. Every Amish family runs a wood stove through the cold months. When the fire dies down, the leftover charcoal does not get thrown out. It gets crushed and mixed into the garden beds. They were making biochar before the word existed. Here is how to do it yourself. Let your fire or wood stove charcoal cool completely. Crush it into pieces roughly the size of a fingertip. Soak those pieces in compost tea or diluted manure water for 24 to 48 hours. This step activates the charcoal so it actually absorbs nutrients instead of stealing them from the soil. Then mix it into your beds at about 10 to 15% by volume. Research out of Cornell University's Soil Science Lab has shown that biochar locks carbon into the soil for over 1,000 years, increases water holding capacity by 18%, and boosts the soil's ability to hold nutrients by 20%. 1 gram of biochar has a surface area roughly equal to a basketball court. It is not just soil amendment, it is a hotel for microorganisms. The industry bags up fireplace charcoal, prints a modern-looking label, calls it biochar, and charges $30. Old Man Eli in Lancaster County has been doing this for free since his grandfather showed him how. We are about halfway through now, and the tip I most want you to hear is still coming. It is the one that makes most people uncomfortable, but it works. Give me a few more minutes. Now let us talk about something 4,000 years old that requires nothing more than 2 clay pots and a shovel. The Amish have no electric pumps, no drip irrigation timers, no smart watering apps. So how do their gardens survive the hot Pennsylvania summers? They bury unglazed terracotta pots in the ground between the plant rows, right up to the rim, and fill them with water. Water seeps slowly through the porous clay walls by osmosis, but only when the surrounding soil is dry. When the soil is moist enough, the seeping stops. No timer, no battery, just physics. Researchers at UC Riverside confirmed this method saves between 50 and 70% of water compared to surface watering. 2 terracotta pots cost $3 to $5. A basic drip irrigation setup runs $50 to $200 and needs electricity. The clay pot system needs nothing. 4,000 years of irrigation science packed into a $3 purchase. Now, the next one involves a plant the FDA tried to restrict, and the reason might genuinely surprise you. Comfrey has been growing in the corner of Amish gardens for generations. It is a large, deep-rooted plant with broad leaves, and it does 3 things at once. First, the leaves contain allantoin, the same compound your skin uses to heal cuts. Crushed comfrey leaves applied as a poultice speed wound healing. Second, a mild leaf tea has long been used to ease inflammation. Third, and this is where it gets interesting, comfrey leaves, when you cut them and soak them in a bucket of water for 4 to 6 weeks, break down into one of the most potent liquid potassium fertilizers you can make at home. The smell while it ferments will clear a room, but diluted at 1 part concentrate to 10 parts water and poured around the base of your tomatoes and peppers, it rivals potassium-rich fertilizers sold in garden stores for $10 to $18 a bottle. The Royal Horticultural Society has said so directly. In 2001, the FDA restricted the sale of comfrey supplements for internal use, citing concern over certain alkaloids and liver stress. One free plant that can replace both a medicine and a store-bought fertilizer is, you have to admit, not great for business. The Amish kept growing it anyway. After every harvest, when the beds are empty and the air is turning cold, the Amish do not leave the soil bare. Bare soil erodes. Eroded soil needs fertilizer. Fertilizer has to be bought. The Amish recognized that cycle and broke it 300 years ago. They scatter red clover or winter rye seed over the empty beds in late summer or early fall, let it grow through the winter, then cut it down and turn it into the soil come spring. 2 to 3 weeks later, after that green matter decomposes, they plant again. That decomposing material is called green manure, and it feeds the soil the way nothing in a bag quite can. Research from the Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Program found that cover crops reduce soil erosion by up to 86%. Long-term USDA research confirmed that a 3-year rotation using cover crops increases yields by 10 to 15% and cuts soil-borne disease by 60 to 80%. A bag of rice seed costs $2 to $5 and covers an entire garden. Commercial nitrogen fertilizer plus erosion control products run $50 to $80 a season. And speaking of things hiding in plain sight, the next one has been sitting in your kitchen this whole time. 5 or 6 garlic cloves, crushed. 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. A liter of water. A few drops of plain soap, not detergent, pure soap. Mix it, let it sit for 24 hours, strain it, and spray it on your plants. Reapply after rain. The allicin in garlic has antibacterial, antifungal, and insect-repelling properties. A study in the Journal of Pest Science found garlic extract reduced scale insect populations by 80 to 95% within 48 hours. The capsaicin in cayenne pepper is registered with the EPA as an official animal repellent. Together, they drive away aphids, spider mites, whiteflies, and ants. The cost is roughly 50 cents worth of kitchen staples. A bottle of organic pesticide runs $12 to $18. The pesticide market is worth $70 billion globally. The Amish compete with it using 5 cloves of garlic and a teaspoon of pepper. Now here is the uncomfortable one. I told you it was coming. Most gardeners look the other way on this. The Amish never did. Human urine contains roughly 11 grams of nitrogen per liter, 1 gram of phosphorus, and 2.5 grams of potassium. Those are the 3 macronutrients every plant needs most, in almost the exact same ratio as commercial fertilizer. Coventry University researchers confirmed this. Practical farming communities around the world, not just the Amish, returned human waste to the soil for millennia. The Amish simply never stopped doing what others now find too embarrassing to mention. Dilute 1 part urine to 10 parts water. Pour it around the base of the plant, never on the leaves or fruit. It works best for leafy greens and corn. One important warning: do not use this if you are taking any prescription medication, antibiotics, or hormones. Residue can affect the soil ecosystem. No, it is not glamorous. But a $20 bag of synthetic fertilizer is not glamorous either. This costs nothing. You produce it every single day. Now, the last trick on this list is, to me, the most important one. Not because of what it costs or what pest it fights, but because of what it says about how we think about soil. The Amish have a concept called Gelassenheit. It means humility, yielding, letting go. In the garden, it means this: you do not conquer the soil. You do not force it with a tiller. You partner with it. Every spring, instead of turning everything over and disturbing what lives beneath, the Amish spread 2 to 3 inches of compost across the surface of the beds. They lay straw or leaves on top. They plant directly into that compost layer and let the earthworms carry the organic matter downward. Over time, the soil builds from the surface down, the way nature intended. Each earthworm digs roughly 6 feet of tunnels through the soil every year, creating channels for water and air. The fungal networks that allow plants to communicate underground, the ones a tiller destroys in seconds, stay intact. Press your hand into a no-till garden bed that has been managed this way for 10 years, and the soil gives under your fingers like a sponge. Dark, moist, alive. Homemade compost costs nothing. A tiller costs $300 to $2,000 to buy, or $50 to $100 every time you rent one. The equipment industry sells you a machine that destroys soil structure. Then the fertilizer industry sells you products to rebuild what the machine just wrecked. The Amish skip both. They simply do not dig. None of these methods are new inventions. They are old agreements between people and the land. Agreements that got interrupted somewhere along the way when someone figured out they could sell us a substitute. Milk spray costs almost nothing. Saved seeds are free. Biochar comes from your fireplace. Clay pots cost $3 and last a lifetime. Comfrey plant costs a few dollars once and feeds your garden for decades. Urine is free. Cover crops cost $5 in seed. And no-till gardening requires nothing except the patience to leave the soil alone. You do not have to live without electricity or give up your phone. You just have to start noticing what you already have. So here is my question for you, and I am genuinely curious. Which one of these are you going to try first in your own garden this season? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one.